Questions or comments regarding these meeting minutes? All those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Carries 3-0. Make a motion to approve the July 11th, 2017 Board of Supervisors Workshop meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments regarding these minutes?
Just on the last page, on that H1, Lisa, it was just, if you can add a line to the beginning of that, it was based upon the presentation that was given by American Legal Publishing, that if the board was going to go forward, then they should ask Sienna for a cost comparison. It just looks like I'm asking for a cost analysis based upon nothing. So yeah, it was based upon if the board was going to go ahead. Okay.
No problem.
So,
Any other questions or comments regarding these meeting minutes? All those in favor with those changes? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Western Chester County Council of Government, Donna Steer and Marie Lawson.
Cider.
Cider?
That's okay,
Sorry.
no problem. I just wanted to take a few minutes because I know a lot of you are new. We came a couple years ago, we started the Western Chester County.
I'm sorry, could you come up front and use the mic just so we can have everybody?
Okay, all right.
The mic's working, right?
Testing. Flip it up.
Yep.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, so the Western Chester County Chamber of Commerce is 100 years old. We're one of the oldest chambers in the county. And we formed the Western Chester County Council of Governments 5 years ago. And East Fallowfield Township was one of the participants that signed a resolution to be part of the Council of Governments. And I know that we've gone through changes as far as leadership goes, and I just wanted to take a brief couple minutes just to tell you a little bit about what we do and hope that you'll participate and be an active role in the Council of Governments. Council of Governments, I believe you have a paper with the participation of 12 municipalities. And so you've already designated that Steve and Randy are the elected officials that would participate in this. The meetings are the fourth Wednesday of each month except July, and they're held in the Cal Township building. And some of the things that the Council of Governments has accomplished, most, I guess for the public's knowledge, a Council of Governments is formed by municipalities joining together to work regionally. That anything decided in the Council of Governments, each township acts independently. So it's not something that once you're part of the Council of Governments that you have to go along with everything that we've decided to do. And a lot of the first things we worked on was equipment sharing. So between the 12 municipalities, there's a lot of reciprocal. If a township doesn't have a piece of equipment, another township can step in and, they can loan each other equipment. There's also a recent subcommittee that's been formed called the Regional Emergency Management Group, and that's just getting off the ground, but what it's doing is for when there's catastrophic occurrences, such as the ice storm from a couple years ago. If a township only has one emergency coordinator, they get to have relief by working together regionally so that they're not taxed to work 4 days in a row, without a break. Again, it's also a lot of cross-communication as far as emergencies go when acts of nature and things like that happen. The goals for this year are to attract businesses to locate in Western Chester County, and I know a lot of the townships that are involved in the COG are very rural and they want to keep it that way, so that's also a mission of our chamber, to preserve farms and open space. So don't get me wrong that we want to have businesses come into everywhere. It's kind of in the spots, especially where there's empty buildings. We'd like to locate businesses in those empty buildings where there's already development. The second thing is to organize NIMS training that all elected municipal officials need to take. And if you look, I'm one of the additional participants. I'm not a member of the COG because they have to be an elected official from each township. And Tony Prejeiden from the Chester County Department of Emergency Services has been, organizing and coming out to do the training with the elected officials. Third thing is to offer technology solution as a group to secure better pricing for township websites and things like that, if you would need that. And the fourth thing is to expand our presence on website and Facebook. So it's really just kind of a touch base with all of you, kind of introduce myself. As I mentioned, I'm the Executive Director of the Western Chester County Chamber, and I welcome any questions, but invite you to come to one of the meetings coming up, okay? Next meeting is course, Wednesday, August 23rd at the Pound Township Building. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you update your bylaws from the point of when East Battlefield joined years ago? Have the bylaws changed at all as far as?
No, they have not.
They're the same, okay.
They're the same.
And what equipment's being shared that you know of between these municipalities?
That's really between the municipalities. I know there's sharing going on between Medina and South Coatesville. I mean, a lot of, when you join a COG, a lot of times there's already established sharing going on between neighboring municipalities. So I could get that information for you, but I just know South Coatesville, and Medina have shared equipment. East Brandywine and West Brandywine work together as far as sharing equipment. And I think even there was a piece of a street cleaner that was purchased between 3 of the townships. So again, like I said, this is all voluntary. Even once you come to the meetings, you know, it's what you want to participate in.
And as far as the business, the first thing I mentioned for this year, how are you going about that? Are you working like with the Economic Development
Yes,
Council?
yes, the Chamber has a strong partnership with the Economic Development Council, and then we do different events during the year. We just did one in middle of May that was called, we did a future focus study back in 2011, and I came to present to this council, the Board of Supervisors, excuse me. It was the Coatesville School District and 9 municipalities, and your township in Salisbury chose not to participate, but that study that's on our website still contains a lot of good demographics about your township. We just didn't then pull out priority projects because you chose not to participate. One of the things that we did then is to look at those priority projects and keep talking about them. So in May, we did Future Focus event at the Public Safety Training Facility, and it was a panel of engineers and developers talking about what's all involved from site selection to handing over the keys. Just to give business owners, if they want to relocate or expand in their township, you know, that it's not always as easy as what it sounds. You know, there's a lot of permitting that goes involved and everything like that.
What type of businesses are you hearing them pitch for, like maybe this area or?
Well, I know the Economic Development Council is working on different issues, and then we just happen to get information that comes into the chamber. We've done 3 ribbon cuttings in the city of Coatesville, and so we just kind of partner with the township and try to help if you have a specific need. You know, a lot of the townships will let us know, and they'll say, you know, we really want to get somebody, we just had a business move out of XYZ. If you hear of anything, could you please let it know? So it's just kind of an additional information sharing type of thing. Obviously, we don't have a realtor going out there and, you know,
Sure.
knocking on hands, but it's just by being proactive and upfront with what this region has to offer, it makes it a lot easier. And by working all together, if you have a business coming, say, to this township that you don't have room for, you can say, oh, but I know West Brandywine has a nice facility in there, please go talk to them. So it's just trying to bring those tax ratables that would kind of benefit everybody by, you know, keeping the tax base low for the whole region.
Okay, thank you.
So I hope to see you guys at the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. MS4 plan.
Here.
Okay, like I said, we haven't heard much about this recently, so.
Good evening. I'm Dave Byloon. I work for McCombie Engineering. And we are responsible to prepare the MS4 plan that needs to go to DEP for the upcoming permit. The submission is due September 16th. We are nearing completion of the plan so that it can be available for public review for 30 days, which is a requirement, starting, I believe, 1st of August. And then we have a 15-day period after that to respond to those comments before it has to go in on September 16th. In order to meet that goal, I'm here tonight because the plan needs to be advertised in the paper. And so we have a motion, we have an advertisement prepared and a motion for you to approve the plan to be advertised. In support of that, I prepared an executive summary that is in your packet. that we prepared to give you an idea of what is going to end up in the plan, which involves a lot of calculations and maps and things of that nature, for the most part. It got a little longer than it needed to be, I think, or that I wanted it to be, but I'm here to give you a quick synopsis of all the information in there. I think what I'd like to do is, if I may, let's put this up. Hopefully this will stay. Hopefully that one. You know that, that'll be enough to hold it. This is a plan of the township. And the MS4, which is, it stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. That's where the 4 S's come from, MS4. It is focused on, the primary focus of the program is to control and reduce pollution that goes to the streams. That's been, for the last number of years, it's mostly been through controlling development, through the implementation of your stormwater management ordinance, both for the design of systems, the inspection of systems, and the follow-up maintenance of systems. Other parts of the program, if you've known for the annual reports that have gone out, have to do with public awareness, public participation, to get them to do things to also reduce pollution, clean up the streets, clean up the roads, maintain your yards, things of that nature, volunteer for projects, build rain gardens, all those kinds of things. One of the underlying premises of the program is that the EPA has basically established these things called urbanized areas, which are areas that they feel are developed enough that should be, where the controls should be implemented, not necessarily the rural areas. Don't ask me how, it's supposedly based on population density, but I'm not really sure exactly, we don't know the formula that they use. The maps changed in 2000, actually didn't change in 2010. The 2010 census was a cause for them to change the urbanized areas, which became effective in 2012. The darker area here, this darker area here is an urbanized section, and as is this area over here is the urbanized area that they've designated. And it changed from 2010. It included, this area was not included before, and neither was this area here. And why this is ended up, it's understandable why they might think the population density here is enough, and maybe over here. I'm not sure what they saw over here to include this area. There's virtually no storm sewer systems there either. But we have to deal with it nonetheless. We have to identify where the storm sewers are, where the outfalls are that go to the creeks. And we have to look at ways to control that runoff. Primarily behind that is dealing with what they call the impaired streams, which are streams that have been designated by DEP and the EPA as not meeting certain water quality standards. Fortunately, East Fallowfield only has a small branch up here, a small tributary coming up Park Avenue, basically serving this portion of Strasburg Hunt over here that has been identified as impaired, other than the main branch of the West Brandywine over here that flows through the township. So our program is based on looking at this area and finding ways to reduce the pollution that's coming off the land through the storm sewer system into this stream. There's only 2 outfalls. Both of them come out of Strasburg Hunt. They deal with about 20 acres of land, which doesn't give us a whole lot to work with. The good side of that is that it also doesn't give us a whole lot of load sediment load to work with, coming off of 20 acres versus coming off of 10,000 acres or something of that nature in larger areas. So we have a program right now that looks at those two outfalls that tie into this stream up here. There's an outfall coming off of Windy Hills Road, and an outfall coming off of Elizabeth Drive that we need to deal with. And the bottom line, the numbers are there are two stormwater basins that were put in by the developer to control the runoff. The one at the end of Elizabeth is there and appears to be basically functional. It probably needs some maintenance and some cleanup, but again, these are not township basins or anything, these are on basically private property. We're still trying to figure out if there's a homeowners association that's responsible for it or just the property owner, to be honest with you at this point. And one at the end of Windy Hills that's so far back in the woods, it took TAG 2 days to find it. That one is not it appears to be functional, but it's really not in good shape and it needs some maintenance, and we're gonna have to talk to the homeowners association there to try to deal with that as well. But, so, right now, in order to deal with the load that's calculated, and again, there's a lot of information that's been, work that's been done through the Chester County Water Resources Agency, Penn State University, and DEP to come up with methods to do this that everybody is supposed to use. It looks like that the township is going to need to get rid of a certain amount of sediment, and it's going to take, it looks like we might be able to achieve that through putting in inlet filters in the storm sewer inlets in the subdivisions. That'll get rid of probably about 85% of what the sediment is that we need to deal with. To get rid of the rest, we're proposing using some of the open grass swales that are there in those subdivisions and possibly converting them to what's called a bio-retention swale or a rain garden. We don't need to do much, but we need to do something. The total cost of that, those two options, is probably going to be about $25,000, which again needs to be done over the next 5 years. It's not has to be done in 1 year. It's a 5-year program to do that. The program starts after DEP issues the permit, which would be March of next year, hopefully, if they agree with how we did everything and what we want to do. And then it would become effective, and then we'd have to come up with a program to start implementing those. We chose not to try to modify the detention basins at this point. That could be options if we get over the next couple of years to look into, depending on what kind of, if we get contact with the homeowners and what kind of reception we get about that. And also maybe finding a way to get access to the one basin that's down in the woods. They might prove to be also worthwhile to look into as far as reducing the pollution that we have to deal with. That's the MS4 program in a nutshell. We will have the whole plan finished. I noticed the agenda said approve the MS4 plan. Now you're only really approving the advertisement at this point. The plan will be here next week for you and the public to review the whole everything, all the maps, all the calculations, and everything. And then in the August meeting, I will be back here again. If there's anybody here from the public that has comments about it, or obviously if we've received written comments in the meantime, or if you have comments about what we're doing and how it needs to be done. When you see the final version and all the particulars that go with it. So with that said, I'd like you to obviously approve the resolution to advertise this so the program can move forward.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Northeast side, the red boxes that you have over there,
Yes.
is that part of the plan that you're?
The red boxes on this are areas where we have blown these areas up so we can see them better on smaller plots, and they'll be included in the report so you can see more detail on what's in these areas as far as where the storm sewers are. This map, you can just see a whole bunch of little triangles and dots and things, and it's not very clear as to what's really going on with the storm sewer systems in these areas, but
Is the Northeast, I remember Dennis O'Neill, when he presented, he said that we had enough credits, he felt we had enough credits to not really, where that Northeast section wouldn't be affected so much because developments are in better shape with the storms up
Well,
there. Is that right, or has that
okay,
changed?
well, it's not incorrect. However, again, we're only charged to look at the streams that are yellow. And there's no streams up here
Okay, so
that
Northeast is fine.
these are discharging into that are yellow.
So it'd just be the mainstream coming through Modena,
And then it's the mainstream coming
Down
through
into the
Medina, and the township doesn't have any specific storm sewers carrying runoff into the Brandywine. I mean, that we believe. There are some inlets here, but the pipes don't go into the creek, and if they did, even the drainage area is small. There's not it's not like this whole area here has a storm sewer system that's piped and runs into the creek where then this would be a contributing, then it would be contributing because they're discharging directly to the creek. These are discharging to these unimpaired streams up in this area, and the program only needs to really deal with what they call direct discharges to the impaired stream. And we're saying this isn't that, so we've just basically,
So it is
we've got maps for all this that show all the storm basins and everything, but no, we did not even do an analysis of this to say it's okay. We just saying, it's just basically, this is all unimpaired. Actually, this area here is unimpaired too, draining through Dennis Run. Dennis Run is unimpaired through the township, and actually here, it becomes impaired when it goes through Medina and enters the creek.
So, given that East Fallowfield is downhill from industrial areas such as Modena, such as South Coatesville, such as Valley Township as that flow comes through, are Modena, South Coatesville, and the balance of these municipalities that are upstream doing MS4s right now themselves?
Oh, yes, yes,
So they're all gonna be approving one this year as well, that,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Because I feel like that should be done at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
because we're receiving their sediments
Well,
from more of a pollution area, in my thoughts.
right, this is where, try not to get too confusing here. The way DEP has looked at it is the fact that this area here, this stream is noted to be, basically the West Brandywine has a specific pollution in this location for PCBs. This stream branch up here was noted to be polluted due to what they call water flow variability. This whole region, everything here, and basically this area in Chester County, goes down through what's called the Brandywine-Christina Basin. The Brandywine-Christina Basin has been determined to be, needs to be cleaned up for sediment and nutrients, as well as other things, but basically that's what we're dealing with right now, sediment and nutrients, which is nutrients are phosphorus and nitrogen. So even though the nutrient load, the sediment load may be down here, they want us to, obviously do our fair share up here. However, again, the program is we've been, designed is that we only need to deal with try to clean up these polluted branches, even though the sediment really isn't, this isn't noted for sediment, it's noted to be polluted for other reasons, but, as we go down, it's a contributing factor. One of the questions has been, though, they said if all these, if that's the theory, and all these even these unpolluted streams are draining to the polluted stream, why do we have to deal with these? But as far as we've read been educated that at this point, we don't believe we need to do that.
Which is great from the
Yeah.
presentation I saw years ago, because they were going wild on people just having brake dust in their driveway from their wheels. That's how the county presented it, how nuts this was gonna go, so
Well-
it sounds like it's great, it's just making sure that those other municipalities are holding their own,
Mhm.
and that we're not catching
Well-
the grief of it all
No,
in the end, because it becomes quite rural from
the
here.
loads that they assign to the townships, the way they've apportioned them to make you feel that way, that you got an unfair, load assigned to you to deal with this, but that's not the case. Eventually, in future years, in the next couple permit years, they're gonna want everybody to look at where the PCBs are coming from and do something about them. Obviously, if when we evaluate here, I mean, the railroad yard here, obviously, was probably the source of it, and it's, so we might have to, but again, there's also been cleanup done in this portion of the railroad yard already. So again, unless we can determine that there are PCBs coming from someplace here in East Fallowfield, we probably won't have to do anything. The goal is to identify where they could be coming from. Then after that, you would do steps to take
Is
care
that
of
our
it.
responsibility to determine if it comes out of the township and those?
No, I think it's one of those things, it's our responsibility to determine that it's not coming from East Fallowfield. We could
We're
probably,
responsible more or less for anything
Right.
we're allowing to get
Right.
in the street.
if I may, take a step back, this is one of the reasons, this type of discussion about who's doing what where is one of the premises that precipitates, as the lady was talking about the COG, same type of thing, is to everybody get together in the watershed and work together as a water authority to solve the problem. And not do it because, okay, I don't have this responsibility because the line stops here, or this does this, or this goes over here, and all this other kind of thing. It's work together, come up with a plan to, and one of the underlying reasons of doing that is so you can develop a way to fund this program by assessing a fee to residents and businesses that, based on usually impervious coverage, to contribute to this. Everybody puts in money to the fund, and you have a fund to make the improvements, but you're not doing it on a segmented basis, you're working together, and that's really what's.
The problem is in things in the past on the same thing, we've always been on the short end of these deals, because East Fallowfield's looked upon as that we have much more resources than the boroughs that are next door, yet they have the industrial, they have the commercial that are probably contributing to those levels. Yeah, we end up picking up the bill in so many different areas that we've gotten involved with them.
There's a lot of facets to it, sir, and yes, that's all part of looking at,
Are you working on, is Macomb working on those other boroughs themselves? Are you the firm for Modena, or are you the firm?
we have Salisbury, we have West Brandywine.
Do you know who the firms are for these two boroughs and with?
Actually, I should, and I'm not really sure. I don't
It'd really be with Coatesville, South Coatesville,
Medina.
and Modena, and see, you said you're working on Valley, is that correct? What you just
No,
said?
no, Valley is Panoni Associates.
Panoni.
It's Panoni Associates.
Do you speak with them at all? Do you speak
Well,
with those other firms?
we've all been part of this, years ago, we went back and started as the CTIP, which was the Christiana Task Force. This goes back to 2000, before the last permit applications went in. Now it's called the Christiana Watershed Partnership. They changed the name. And there are pretty much almost 33 municipalities participate in that. We do go to meetings with Chester County Water Resources and other people because they've been helping us on the technical level deal with this, as well as DEP.
So it's your
But
understanding?
there's not as much coordination as you might expect, to be honest with you.
Right,
But
that's
yes,
what-
we do talk.
No, I expect that.
Yes, we do
I'm
talk. In fact,
I'm almost done my term, I
Yeah,
got
we
that
do
now.
talk. One of the things, and it's in the report that I didn't touch on, is that Valley, the way the program's being looked at right at this point in time, is you don't necessarily need to make an improvement in your township, or even possibly in, well, it doesn't fit here, but necessarily, but, some townships like Valley have more than one branch that's polluted. And it's not like you have to solve the pollution here for this, you could put something over here to solve, and deal with it during this program. As long as you're in the same large watershed, which is the West Brandywine watershed.